Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka. In the past couple of weeks I have been focusing on verb prefixes. I have talked about different verb prefixes, and on today's program is the verb prefix vy, spelled with Y. I want to bring this to your attention because it's very important whether to write Y or I in the Czech language. And this prefix is only spelled with Y. If you see V and I in any other place, it's not a prefix. Vy has a lot of functions, as most of the prefixes do in Czech. As usual, I'll guide you through them and I'll give you only a few examples. You will find many more examples and also exercises in a worksheet. You will find a link to the worksheet below the video. Tak, jdeme na to. Jdeme na slovesnou předponu vy. The first function of this prefix is a movement out of something. And it's often connected with the preposition z or od, to move from or out of something. Let's start with motion verbs. Vyjít means to go out, come out. Za 5 minut vyjdu z domu. I'll leave the house in 5 minutes. This is a perfective verb, and then we can also have the imperfective counterpart vycházet. You could say vycházím z domu. I am leaving the house. Literally, I am going out of the house. And then of course, these verbs have more meanings. For example, vyjít and vycházet are also related to something working out, a plan working out. Nevyšlo to, it didn't work out. That would be the metaphoric meaning. Of course, this is not the only motion verb. We can of course say vyjet, to go out in a vehicle, vyletět, vyskočit, to jump out of, etc. Plus their imperfective counterparts. So there are so many options and you will find them in the worksheet. Here I want to talk about vystoupit. That's quite useful if you live in Prague or Brno or Plzeň or any other towns and you use the public transport. Vystoupit means to get off. Get off the public transport. For example, you want to make sure you will get off at the right stop. So you can ask somebody, kde mám vystoupit? Where shall I get off? Kde mám vystoupit? Musíte vystoupit příští zastávku. You have to get off the next stop. Musíte vystoupit příští zastávku. And a very useful phrase is promiňte, budu vystupovat. Vystupovat is the imperfective verb from vystoupit. Promiňte, budu vystupovat. Excuse me, I'll be getting off. This is a handy phrase if you're on a public transport, a metro or a tram which is full of people and you're a little bit further from the exit door. So you want to get there before the driver goes away. Promiňte, budu vystupovat. Vybrat or vybrat si. It means to choose. Vyber si, co se ti líbí. Choose what you like. Vybrat si is to choose for yourself. Of course, if you're choosing for somebody else or you're not stating that it's for you, then you don't have to mention si. Vypadnout also has more meanings. One of those is something falls out. Imagine again you have a container, something, and something falls out of it. Although it's going down, we still talk about the movement of out of something. Somebody dropped something on the ground because it fell out of their pocket. You say, promiňte, něco vám vypadlo. Excuse me, something fell out. Něco vám vypadlo z kapsy. Something fell out of your pocket. Or also, if you're fed up with somebody, you can say vypadni. Vypadni. Get out.
Vypadni tam odsaď, to, co děláš, to je zločin. Vypadni.
Vyjádřit a vyjádřit se. Moc zajímavé sloveso. Very interesting verb. This means to express or express yourself. You can imagine this movement again. Vyjádřit se. And what's so intriguing about this, it's the etymology because it comes from the word jádro. Jádro is core. Jádro. You want to take the core out. You give the basic idea. So you express something. Or you express yourself. Nerozumím ti. Musíš se vyjádřit přesně. I don't understand you. You have to express yourself more precisely. Nerozumím ti. Musíš se vyjádřit přesně. It's also important to mention what's the difference between the verbs of motion with the vy prefix and od or ode. I'm gonna draw two pictures. Almost identical pictures. This first picture represents the prefix vy. Somebody says, napiš mi, až vyjdeš z domu. Vyjdeš z domu. They want to know in what time you will arrive at the place that you're meeting, for example, or they're picking you up. So again, they need to know more or less in how much time you will be there. Their attention is on you and on the place you're going. Coming out, going out. We're focusing on where you're heading and on you. Napiš mi, až vyjdeš. Napiš mi, až odejdeš. Napiš mi, až odejdeš z domu. It sounds like that person that's texting you doesn't want you in the house. They are focusing their attention on the empty house. I want to know when the house is gonna be empty so I can come and rob it. Maybe. So when we have the prefix vy, it often means that the focus is on you and on the place you're heading to. Whereas when you have odejít or odjet, the focus is on where you've been and you're not anymore. Like if you want to say, he left, you say odešel. He left, he's not here. Odešel. You don't say vyšel, because that sounds like he went out and maybe he will be with you soon, or he'll meet somebody at the place that he's heading to. Let me give you another example. Odešli jsme z restaurace, protože se nám v menu nic nelíbilo. We left the restaurant because we didn't like anything on the menu. We're not at the restaurant, we didn't eat. Odešli jsme z restaurace. In this one, vyšli jsme z restaurace. It wouldn't make sense to have the same continuation. Vyšli jsme z restaurace a hledali jsme, kam půjdeme dál. Vyšli jsme z restaurace a hledali jsme, kam půjdeme dál. We went out of the restaurant and we were looking where we're gonna go next, since we didn't like this place. So you see, this is the difference. With vy, we're often focusing on where we're heading, and here with od, we're focusing on where we've been and we're not anymore, or any other person or object we're describing. It doesn't work like this 100%, but sometimes you can have this explanation. Vyjít also means to set out. You are talking about what time you are setting out. Za 5 minut vyjdu, rather than za 5 minut odejdu. Let me give you an example with jet, vyjet and odjet. You're at the train station and somebody says, vlak za 5 minut odjede ze stanice. The train will leave the station in 5 minutes. Maybe you want to catch the train. You only have 5 minutes to catch it. And if somebody says, vlak za 5 minut vyjede ze stanice, in this case, it would be emphasis on the train moving out. The train is going to leave the station. Maybe there is somebody waiting right here with a camera and they want to take a picture of the train leaving the station. You're focusing on where this object is heading to. One more example. If you want to tell somebody you're on your way, you're probably going to say, teď vycházím. Teď vycházím. I'm leaving, I'm heading out. I'm on my way. Rather than teď odcházím. Let me know if this was clear, and I also put more examples in the worksheet. The second category describes a function where we talk about movement upward, so going up. And it's often connected with the preposition na, do, or k. Look at this, we have vyjít again. Vyjít and vycházet. That's why I added the prepositions, because the meaning often depends on the prepositions following this verb. For example, vyšli jsme na kopec. We went up the hill. Kopec. Vyšli jsme na kopec. Or the imperfective verb vycházet. Of course we can say vycházeli jsme na kopec, když jsme vycházeli na kopec. Něco se stalo. When we were going up the hill, something happened. But it also means to rise, that the sun rises. Slunce vychází v 7:30. The sun rises at 7:30. Vycházet. Of course, you could say slunce vyšlo. Slunce vyšlo v 7:30. The sun rose at 7:30. Or vylézt. Lézt, do you remember what it is? Lézt means to climb. Vylézt is to climb up. Vylezl na strom. He climbed up the tree. Vylezl na strom. Here's a great example of how the prepositions and the cases are important. There are two sentences and they mean slightly different thing. Vylezl z postele, vylezl na postel. Which of these two sentences mean that the person got out of bed? It's the first one, vylezl z postele. He crawled out of bed, climbed out of bed, which is something we often use. Konečně si vylezl z postele. You finally got out of bed. You finally climbed out of bed. And the second one is that the person climbed on top of the bed. Vylezl na postel, accusative, versus vylezl z postele, z plus genitive. Pozor na to. Careful with that. The next function is depletion. We use up something completely, which makes sense when you think about the first category. Something goes out completely until there's nothing left. Vypít. Vypít means to drink up, drink something completely. Vypila jsem celou sklenici vody. I drank the whole glass of water. I made a short video about this, specifically with the verb pít and all kinds of prefixes, if you haven't watched it. I recommend it. Vypila jsem celou sklenici vody. Vypotřebovat is to use up. Vypotřebovali jsme všechno mýdlo. We used up all the soap. Vypotřebovali jsme všechno mýdlo. Or vybít. Here is also important to make a distinction between b and p. Vybít is to discharge, like a battery. Vybila se mi baterka na mobilu. My phone battery died. Vybila se mi baterka na mobilu. Or vybil se mi mobil. My phone died. Vybil se mi mobil. It often goes with se, but of course somebody else can discharge your battery if they use your phone. And vypnout, to turn off. It might not be the most accurate in this category, but it was the closest. Vypni televizi, půjdeme spát. Turn off the TV, we are going to go to bed. Vypni televizi, půjdeme spát. Půjdeme or půjdeme. Půjdeme is informal. The next function of the prefix vy talks about equipping an area with something or covering an area with something, such as vymalovat, to color or to paint a surface, an area. Vymaluj ten obrázek, color the picture. I highly recommend watching the video from last week, Verb Prefixes in Action, where I colored these pictures and I also worked with the text. Vymalovala jsem strom, I colored the tree, or vybarvila jsem strom, also vybarvit, to color. But vymalovat also means to paint a room, for example. So imagine this movement, vymalovat. Vymalovali jsme pokoj. We painted the room. That means we painted the whole room. Vymalovali jsme pokoj. And now it's almost Christmas, so we can talk about vyzdobit. Vyzdobit is to decorate an area, decorate a room or decorate a house. With this movement again, it's not only to put one little decoration, but to cover an area with decorations. Vyzdobíme obývací pokoj. We will decorate the living room. Vyzdobíme obývací pokoj. This prefix can also talk about gain. Vydělat means to earn money. Vydělal jsem 50 000. I earned 50,000. Vydělal jsem 50 000. I guess you know this verb, vyhrát. Vyhrát means to win. From hrát, to play, and vyhrát, to win by playing, participating in a game. Or lottery. Vyhráli jsme televizi. We won a TV. Vyhráli jsme televizi. Or now in a football game. Anglie vyhrála nad Senegalem. England won over Senegal. Also, don't forget we have imperfective forms for most of these verbs that I'm showing you. For example, vyhrávat, that would be winning, somebody is winning. So if you're watching a football game and you want to say they are winning, you say vyhrávají. Vyhrávají, they're winning. Moving on, next function is to create something, whether it's something tangible or intangible. Vytvořit actually means to create. Děti vytvořily vánoční přáníčka. The children created, made Christmas cards. Děti vytvořily vánoční přáníčka. Vynalézt means to invent. Like, for instance, do you use contact lenses? Kontaktní čočky? Have you wondered why they're called čočky? Čočka is a lentil, but in English it's lens. It's actually a Czech invention. Google Otto Vychtrle vynalezl kontaktní čočky. Otto Vychtrle invented contact lenses. Otto Vychtrle vynalezl kontaktní čočky. And čočka is a lentil because the lens looks a little bit like a lentil. It has the same shape, similar. That's why it's called čočka in Czech. Vymyslet, to think of something, to think of an idea. Co si vymyslel? What did you think of? What did you come up with? We are talking about creating a plan, thinking of a plan. Co si vymyslel? A very important function of this prefix is to describe a completed action. Once again, there is a number of verbs that we simply use with vy, and we use them when we want to talk about the action being done, whether it's past or future. For example, čistit, which means to clean or brush. If you want to tell somebody brush your teeth, you're gonna say vyčisti si zuby. Vyčisti si zuby. You're not gonna say čisti si zuby unless you want to say regularly brush your teeth. Ale teď, běž si vyčistit zuby. Go brush your teeth. So these verbs are imperfective, and simply by adding vy, they become perfective, and they describe an action which will be done or was done without the change of the meaning. For example, sprchovat se, to take a shower. How would you say to take a shower as a perfective verb? For example, you want to say, I'll take a shower in the morning, I'm lazy. This is gonna be so challenging. The correct answer is vysprchovat se. Very difficult. Vysprchovat se. To take a shower. Vysprchuju se až ráno. I'll take a shower in the morning. Vysprchuju se až ráno. Or řešit. Řešit is to be solving something. And vyřešit, yes. I'm gonna write it here, but it's supposed to be in this column. Vyřešit becomes perfective. And that means to end up solving. Doufám, že se to vyřeší. I hope it will be solved. Doufám, že se to vyřeší. Fotit, to take pictures. Vyfotit. Vyfoť mě u téhle sochy. Take a picture of me by this statue. Vyfoť mě u téhle sochy. So we would use vy. Vyfoť mě. Vyfoť mě. Take a picture of me. Or tisknout, you know what this is? Tisknout means to print. And to end up printing as a perfective verb is vytisknout, of course. Vytiskneš mi prosím tenhle dokument? Will you please print out this document for me? Vytiskneš mi prosím tenhle dokument? And there are many more verbs. Dámy a pánové, už jsme u konce. Ladies and gentlemen, we are near the end. The last function is a miscellaneous function. A number of important verbs I was not able to put in any of the previous categories, believe it or not. Despite so many functions, there is yet another one which is all over the place. Vyspat se means to sleep, focus on the result, but it has to have the se part. For example, jak ses vyspal, jak ses vyspala? How did you sleep? Jak ses vyspal, jak ses vyspala? Not jak si spala, that would be the process. How were you sleeping? On the pillow? On the ground? Jak ses vyspala? Dobře, dobře jsem se vyspala. I slept well. How was the outcome of your sleep? Vydržet means to hold on. To wait and hold on. Somebody can tell you, vydržte prosím minutu. Vydržte. Hold on a minute. Or vydržte chvilku. Hold on a while. Držet means to hold, literally like this. Držím fixu. And vydržet is to hold down. But then it becomes more metaphoric. Has nothing to do with the actual holding on to something. See, there is a similarity with the English language. Vypadat, and I have to stress out that this is imperfective. Vypadat can mean more things, but I want to talk about this translation, and that is to look like. Jak vypadám? How do I look? Jak vypadám? Vypadáš dobře. You look good. Vypadáš dobře. Also, remember, vypadat has to be followed by an adverb. So, vypadat dobře, vypadat špatně, vypadat zajímavě. Padat means to fall, so has nothing to do with falling. Vysvětlit means to explain. It's a very beautiful verb because it comes from světlo, which is the light. So when you cast the light on something, you explain it. Vysvětli mi to, prosím. Explain this to me, please. Vysvětli mi to, prosím. And the last one, vymlouvat se, to make excuses. It has to be reflexive. You're speaking your way out of something. Vymlouvat se. Nevymlouvej se pořád. Don't make excuses all the time. Nevymlouvej se pořád. Takže nevymlouvejte se na to, že čeština je těžká. Don't make excuses about Czech being difficult. It is difficult, but that's not an excuse. Nevymlouvejte se. To je ode mě všechno. If you haven't watched the video from last week, please watch it or go to my playlist Verb Prefixes and watch the videos that I talked about previously, or also shorts. I'll be happy if you drop me a comment regarding the prefix vy, maybe a sentence that you've heard or read somewhere and you want to share with others. Tak to je všechno, mějte se krásně. Čau.